So thank you so much. I want to say welcome to Amy Rutledge, who thank you so much. This is me and Amy's second time speaking, so just an amazing human. I have such a good time speaking with her, so we've had a really great time. So Amy plays the endearing Lisa in IFC Midnight's and Pretty People Pictures Rent-A-Pal, which has been amazing. You're getting a lot of really great reviews. The film has been really awesome. I watched it, like I told you, I watched it like 3 or 4 times. Just a really cool ride. And it's, you know, once it gets going, it's just, it doesn't stop. And it's really intense. And I absolutely love that. And as we were speaking beforehand, how has the success of Rent-A-Pal been for you so far?
Yeah, it's really exciting. And it's also very strange because it's in the middle of the pandemic, obviously. And
Right.
there's certain things, you know, we didn't get to do, which was a little disappointing. Like we didn't have like the red carpet event. We didn't get to, you know, do the premiere, do like a cast and crew party together. But I mean, other than that, you know, my only word I can say is just, I'm just in sheer gratitude all the time. It's wild. And some days I'm just like, I don't even, you know, I still can't almost believe it, you know?
Yeah. It's been great. It's been so weird to see some of the movies that have come through. It's just, they're just now having small screenings, you know, ones that came out in like February and things like that are just now doing theatrical release. So do you feel that you're missing out on anything, or do you feel just from the reception alone it's been good?
I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason and that everything works out the way that it's supposed to for the greater good of myself and for other people. So I try not to think about that, you know, because it's like, this is what is and this is what's happening. There was a part of me when it first was getting released where I was like, oh man, like I wish I could have just like hugged everyone that, you know, they're all in Denver, Colorado, and I'm in New Jersey. And I just wish that I could have like, you know, gave them hugs and just like shared that love. But other than that, yeah, I don't feel like I'm really missing out. And I feel like this is kind of there will be many. So the way that I, you know, think of it is, you know, there'll be many in the future, and however it's supposed to work out and orchestrate that it will. So eventually I'll get to have those things that I really want, like the red carpet and the premiere and like all that stuff.
Red carpet style. And I had sat in a roundtable with, I believe, John, Brian, and Will, and I don't think that Brian and Will have even met yet. Is that correct? I don't think they've even like really met.
Brian and Will they met one time. So yeah, so they actually got to meet because Will, obviously his character is completely on this VHS screen. And so even when I was acting, I was kind of bummed because I didn't get to meet him. And everyone asks me that. They're like, did you get to meet Will? Like, did you ask him about like Star Trek? And I'm like, guys, I'm so sorry, but like I didn't get to meet him. And so we actually filmed in a couple different like chunks because Brian, who plays David, was doing he was doing a play during the filming as well. Yeah, and he was like a lead in that, and he's like literally the lead in this film. He's in every single scene. So they had to take it in chunks, and so Will came like I think in the month in between mine, and he only shot for like half a day on the soundstage, and then he left. But they invited Brian because it was done in Denver, Colorado, and that's where they're all from basically except Will. But so Brian was able to actually he's who played David. He actually got to meet Will and like hang out, and they had like pictures together like on set.
Oh yay, David and Andy together again.
Yeah.
It's amazing. No, like I said, I watched it a few times, and I just really loved it. And we did discuss it in not really in length. And for those of you that have missed the article that we put out through HorrOrigins with Amy earlier this week, talked a little bit about your preparation for the role of Lisa. So what can you tell me about what your prep for the role of Lisa was like?
I immediately loved her from reading her on the script, and I was already really lucky because I feel like a lot of myself I saw in her already. So it wasn't that big of a stretch for me. She's a caretaker. She's very kind and compassionate, and you know, I'm a meditation teacher, and you know, I really care about helping other people, and so that part was pretty easy for me. And so I wanted to create her looks. So even from the very first audition and me sending in a submission tape, I wanted to wear these glasses that are mine. And then I actually, you know, wore them in the film because they were like, oh, these are great. And I wanted her to have this curly frizzy hair that I actually have in real life. And so there were certain things that like were already sort of like inspiration that came to me like very, very quickly. Even just like reading the script for the audition. And so I actually ended up working with an acting coach for a few sessions just to feel like completely confident and knowing that I'm doing everything I can to make this role as good as I can and make it as full. And so she gave me some great tools to do on my own. So like in the movie, I'm making a dating tape. And I've never done that before in real life. So she was like, why don't you make like me as Amy, as like my, you know, in real life, make a dating tape. So I was like, oh, okay. So I made this dating tape and it was so awkward and weird, but like funny. And I just felt like it was such a great exercise to put myself in because it was exactly how I felt, you know, filming that scene. I also am a caretaker and I take care of senior citizens in the film. And that's not something that I had as an experience in my real life. So I actually, I usually volunteer with New York Cares. And you can sign up for different projects at any given day. And so I only worked with kids though. So I was like, okay, well, I need to figure out what this experience is like just so that I can truthfully and honor the words and that they are true for me in real life. So I actually volunteered with this senior citizens, and it's like you help them with their electronics. So I was helping this woman, her name was Rora, and she was like late 80s, maybe early 90s. She was very, very old, and she was just so lovely and kind. And I helped her with her laptop and her phone, and I helped her like how to use Gmail and how to email people. And she was just so like wonderful. Like she lived through World War II, and she just had amazing tales to tell, and just her life was just so beautiful. And it was such an honor and a privilege, and it just like brought so much joy to my real life to be able to do that and have that experience. But then when I was saying the certain lines where I'm saying, you know, I'm a caretaker, and you know, these people are, I think my line literally is like, these people are so rich, they have these histories that are just so, you know, beautiful. And then like when I was saying that in the film, like it was real. Like all I could think of was this woman, Drora, and like her beautiful smile and her stories and her sharing her time with me in that moment. And it made everything real for me. I also like to do this thing where I sort of write out my history. So like if there's anything that I don't know, I'll make it up, but I'll take my own past, my own history, and sort of intertwine it with the character's life. And so I'll fill in like, you know, the stuff that Lisa really had, like her parents are down in Florida, mine aren't, but like I would fill in like my parents are from here, but they moved to Florida to retire. And like I kind of like just craft this entire history for myself that I know like kind of in my bones and like in my soul. And so yeah, knowing the lines of course is also really helpful. I like to work out when I'm doing the lines, so like I'll run while I'm saying my lines, I'll run and it kind of just gets them into your like deep like subconscious. So like so I was so confident and I was so prepared when I got to set that like I could kind of just let it all go and let things flow and be free.
No, naturally, and it's a really awesome performance, and you can tell that it's there are places in that in the film where it's just a very guttural reaction, or it's just a very naturally endearing reaction to what's happening around you, especially working against Brian's character, which is very just very jagged, and Lisa's character is very, very soft and welcoming, and sometimes overcompensating, which kind of really leads me into I suppose my next question is, because really the center of this movie is so much on belonging and acceptance and wanting to be loved. And do you feel, I mean, especially where we are right now in a pandemic, is where, you know, we don't have that human connection. So it's been a little difficult, and, you know, on the mindful aspect, on an emotional aspect, on a mental aspect. Do you think that films, and even taking Rent-A-Pal into consideration, that films are delving into more of the emotional and mental aspect of acceptance? Do you think we're doing a good job in film as a whole right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but I mean, especially with Rent-A-Pal, I think it's a great look into, you know, mental health issues, alcoholism, loneliness, and just, you know, dementia. His mom has dementia. And I feel like it's starting to be talked about more. Like we don't really talk about it. And I feel like luckily in this day and age, we're a little bit more open to discussing and seeing and receiving sort of, you know, characters or, you know, people that have mental health issues. And I'm like a big mental health advocate myself because I've dealt through, you know, my own struggles in real life. And I do think so, but I wish there was more. So, but I do think like it's coming to a time where, you know, it's okay to talk about it. And I really love that. And I feel like there's a lot more awareness. And because of the films, you know, it's making that so. And a lot of people watch films. So I think it's a great sort of gateway into, you know, creating more of that and the loneliness and the, you know, the struggles of being a caretaker for someone who's abusive and your entire life is going towards that. And I'm certain that there's people all over the world that have the same exact circumstance in real life. And so I'm glad that, you know, Rent-A-Pal has come out, especially at this time when we're dealing with such an incredible place of just abject loneliness and just, you know, disconnect. And yeah, we're connected by film or these screens, you know, which is great, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm sure we all are. However, there's nothing like that human, that energy that you actually feel and experience when you're with another human being. Right. So yeah, I would love more content to be created. However, I do think they're getting they're getting on the good side with going in that direction. I'd like to write my own stuff myself, to be honest.
Go for it. We need it. More women content. Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great because I feel like we don't have, I feel like people are hoping, maybe probably not hoping, but people are probably thinking that there's going to be a lot of like contagion movies that come out of this and virus movies when really a lot of the content, or at least the things that we're reading, there's a lot of writers in this room that are reading more on, you know, connection aspects or very contained stories that are easily filmed without a whole lot of, you know, background for it. It's becoming very emotional stories, which I feel like is a side effect of our loneliness. So hopefully we're heading in that direction where we're doing a better job of it.
I think so, yeah. And I think people have really realized a lot through their own suffering throughout this time. And what better way to express it than to write about it or create around it. So there is beauty in that. But yeah, and I think people really had to take some time to kind of like take a step back and kind of really look inside. And for some people, that could be really scary. Yeah. But, you know, if you can use that and write about it and express that, and other people can relate, I'm sure. So that it's a really beautiful thing. I think we're lucky in that way. We get to like create, use that for creation.
And I think it's going to be so important to have obviously more content, more content, because now we have more things. We've got things to say, and I think a few people were like you said, it's free game to talk about things that bother us now because we are in this communal space of the ambiguity is a lot. So it bleeds a lot. So there's a lot of stories that need to be told now, which is really, really awesome. Mm-hmm. So spoiler to anyone who has not finished the film. Feel free to like mute yourself, mute me, it's fine. Your character is now, you know, Lisa's character is now what you would call the new final girl on the block. If we're talking about horror and psychological horror, which is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I did it. So in this genre, we've got our scream queens, we've got our final girls. But what do you feel is missing in horror, psychological thrillers from a female perspective? What haven't we seen yet? What haven't we seen enough yet, in your opinion?
I would like to see, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, because I feel like I haven't been watching that many movies lately, which is pretty bad. But I would like to see like David's character, but as a woman. Yeah. Like, where's the story of you know, what happened. You know, maybe there are a lot. I have no idea. And if there are, please tell me so I can watch that. But where are the, you know, we have like the Joker, and I think Rent-A-Pal has been sort of like, I guess sort of like kind of put in that same kind of box, I guess you could say. Rent-A-Pal with like Joker, and kind of like the decline and like these men. But like I would like to see that happen to, like I would like to be that character. Like I would like to see that happen to, you know, because I've seen like in my real life where things have been like really hard, and like, you know, I've suffered a lot. And so, you know, I just would like to see more women be able to have that role, I guess. Yeah. Long story short.
No, yeah, absolutely. Because we've seen, I mean, we do see some things, you know, but they take us to like extremes, like in, you know, in men's, you know, decline, or in some kind of waves where they head into some sort of like mental snap, or something changes. It's very much positioned as like it's external, like it's the world against me. And they never really kind of have to pay for the internal things that are going on, which is I've always found very interesting. And then you have women who have this, you know, they have that, you know, that decline and that snap, and now it's like a woman scorned, and she is just crazy, and
Yeah.
and it's like, but you got to blame it on everybody else. So that would be interesting to see a, you know, a David's arc and in a female character. I think that would be really, really interesting. For that, even just going in that vein and staying in that vein, what do you feel has been the best representation of, or maybe the best women-led psychological thriller or horror that you've seen in the last 5 years?
Oh man. So I have to preface this because I think I mentioned to you I really had to stop watching horror films. I loved watching horror and psychological thrillers, but the last probably 5 years, maybe a little more, I've had to like really you know, step away because I was dealing with my own PTSD and my own depression and anxiety, and I found I was so affected by watching these things that, you know, they would just stay with me forever. Like I've watched things that are just like still like burned into my mind, and it could be really harmful. So I feel bad, but I feel like I can't really answer that question very thoroughly.
Okay.
So that's why, yeah, and that's why I'm like, you know, I would love to see like the David's role as a woman, but like maybe there are, and like I just haven't seen them because I've been like kind of taking a step away. There was a film that I had seen a long time ago, and I don't even know if I don't even remember the name of it, unfortunately, but it was this woman, and I think she becomes obsessed, and I think it takes place in another country actually, and basically it was this woman, but she was seeing herself as this man. And I just wish I could remember, because it was so interesting. That was kind of like the switch at the end, was like this woman was actually, it wasn't the man doing all this, it was a woman character. And she kind of had like she had like a personality disorder. I want to say it was like, I don't know if it was like schizophrenia, I don't know, it was something. Crap, I really wish I could like recall this.
It's fine.
Sorry. But I thought it was fascinating because like at that point I hadn't seen anything like that before. So that would, yeah, that was cool.
Yep. Awesome. No, I love that. I love that. And hopefully like there's a lot of women horror writers in this group right now watching you. Hopefully yes, give it up. So hopefully,
hell yeah,
right? Hopefully we can turn the tide with that. I think that would be really, really amazing. So I mean, just for me, I think just to kind of close out my questions in this Q&A, and because we've been talking so much about, you know, loneliness and really trying to like muddle through as best we can through a pandemic, through whatever ambiguity and uncertainness is that we wake up to every, or uncertainty that we wake up to every day. What would you say has been the biggest thing that's gotten you through this last 6 months, this last year?
Meditation and my self-love practices has saved my life, because it was really challenging. And yeah, so like making sure that, you know, consistently asking myself, all throughout the day, like what would feel good in this moment, just taking it like step by step, like what would feel good in this moment. And like maybe it was just allowing myself to cry, maybe it was to like punch a pillow, maybe take a hot shower, or maybe, you know,
She's gonna do it.
hi puppy.
Continue, please.
Wants to be involved.
I heard it.
Yeah. He was just chiming in. Love, yeah. But yeah, like definitely meditation, definitely taking care of my mental health. I talk to a therapist weekly through video call, and that's been like crucial for me. And what else? Yeah, just like moving my body, doing like qigong or yoga, just doing very peaceful, calming, and like loving things for myself. And I couldn't do it all the time, so I'm not gonna pretend like I did this every day. There were some days where I was just like, fuck it, I don't care, like I don't want to do this, you know, like I'm just gonna stay in bed all day. And like some days I would do that, and that's okay. And just like not judging, you know, not judging myself that for whatever it is that I was feeling.
I think, and it's you can only do what you can do, especially like energy wise. Like if you just don't have the energy for it, and like I said, you know, most of us are working from home, and they say, oh, you know, working from home, and everybody glosses it over, and it's like, I'm literally just trying to work while living through a global pandemic. Like that is the difference between the two.
Yeah, exactly.
One sounds like cake, one is definitely emotional breakdown every day.
Yeah.
But I think what's really important is that you're taking the steps to do that, which is amazing. And like I say about, you know, when we talk about films, and the reason why we do these Q&As is not really only to express what's going on with the film and what your process was, but really is the human element, the human aspect of the people behind the films that we're looking at. Because like I said, we don't get the substance of the character without our actors and what they bring to the table. So I'm just really pleased with everything that you led us into thus far. I'm really, really excited. I'm really grateful that you were able to sit with us today. So
oh yeah,
thank
no,
you.
my pleasure and honor. Thank you.
My pot. So I have a few questions, and I know some of you guys wait until I'm finished with mine to type you in. So go ahead and type those in when you're ready. But I have Shirley Pesto here. And I'm just going to read Shirley's question. She's got a little bit of an audio issue, but she said, other than 1980s, what decade or period setting would be your favorite to act in or have acted in thus far?
That's a great question. I love that question. It's so like fun to think about. Oh my gosh. Like, I would like to do something in the 60s. I think that would be cool. The 20s. Mostly just for like the costuming.
Right.
Maybe some medieval. We'll throw some medieval in there.
No, I love that. I mean, I think because it's 90s centric. Rent-A-Pal is correct, right? The 90s.
Yes. Yeah, it takes place in 1990.
But I even like the costuming even of that. I was like, yep, had those jeans. Yep.
Yeah.
Those buddies. Yep. It was just, it's, you know, even the videos, I'm like, yep, side pony, cloud bang, had it. It was really interesting to see, and the costuming is such a huge piece of that. So excellent question, Shirley.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Paul, go ahead and open up your cam and your mic to ask your question for Amy, if you like.
Hi, I really enjoyed the movie a lot. Probably my question is more of, if you had any kind of role that you wanted to play, what would be your dream role, and what's your approach to acting? Because there's so many actors that approach things differently, like through method acting, and they live in the skin for a while and then they leave, like or are you more like a Sanford Meisner or like a Stanislavski type of actor? I mean, what's your approach to that?
So I actually pull from a bunch of different tools that I've learned. So I went to, I studied Stanislavski, studied the method, sense memory, and then I went to T. Schreiber Studios for a little bit of time, and they kind of teach Meisner and sense memory as well, but they kind of just throw in like a whole bunch of tools, and you can kind of just like pick and choose. So I find that's helpful for me. And like I never have like kind of the same routine for every single thing that I do. It's kind of like what I feel is necessary, or like maybe I get some like miracle like inspiration. Sometimes that happens too, of like what exactly to do. For me, like living and breathing in the character, I've done that in my past for some plays that I was in, and I was in a play in New York City, and I had to play this very fragile, it was called Female Transport. And so basically we were getting transported from England to the colonies in Australia. And so this character was like very depressed, very abused, and suicidal. And so I had to commit suicide on stage in front of everyone. And I didn't get to leave the stage the entire time either until that point at the very end. So I had to stay in this space the entire time. And for me, I would leave, and the entire day I would just feel horrible. I'm sorry, I'm kind of like going on a tangent, sorry. Basically, my short answer should be, is that method acting, like staying in that space, was so unhealthy for me, and I felt horrible. And I thought for a long time, I know sometimes like, and I used to do this, and I think a lot of people do this, they like equate like suffering with creation or like making good art through suffering. And I don't believe that that has to be the case. I believe that, you know, you don't have to suffer to make good art or to do a good job as an actor. So for me, method is like, you know, I'll pull from like, it's more like a sense memory, I guess, where I will pull actually from, you know, pain from my real life that has happened in the past. If I have like an emotional scene, I can just think of, you know, one little thing of like my, you know, someone in my family, and I'll just like be able to cry on cue. So like stuff like that I'll pull from. But really meditation has been a lifesaver and like a game changer for me, not only in acting, but like in my real life. And I've realized through that so many miracles and inspiration can come when you just get quiet for a little while. It's almost like you have this superpower. So I can't like stress that enough, that like meditation for me is like, you know, I come prepared. I said earlier, you know, I write out my history. I write out like my whole, like, since the day I was born, like this is, you know, and I intertwine the history of the character with my own, so that it's real for me. And like, so I'll know that I know every detail of my character. And then I'll do my lines. Like I said, you know, I'll run. And I find that like when you're running and you're doing the lines, like it's like on a deeper level than it normally is. And it's kind of like this is like subconscious level. And so the words can just flow like it's real for me. And if I find it hard to like say certain lines that aren't making sense, like I will say them out loud, and then I'll say a line of like, I'll say it in a way that I would actually say it in real life. And so I'll keep doing that like back and forth until that initial original character line becomes real for me. And like, I really understand like, you know, what's underneath it. What else do I do? Like I work with my acting coach, and I'll do like certain exercises. Like I want to go, you know, I'll do whatever it takes so that whatever I'm saying is actually real for me. So whatever that is for whatever character, I will kind of seek out these situations to, you know, learn or, you know, really put myself in that place. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, perfect.
That was a lot, sorry.
No,
Thank you so much.
I love the tangents. There's so much information in there. No,
Yeah.
it's really, but it's so beneficial for us to really see the insight of that. So it's awesome. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
So I had another question that I just was thinking about, because we had our discussions about, you know, if you were read the article about like reboots, what, you know, we discussed Labyrinth before. Is there a genre that you haven't had a chance to work in that you're really, really excited to get in there sometime?
Yeah, sci-fi. I love sci-fi. I love like I like anything like post-apocalyptic, you know, I like, you know, hero kind of like, I would love to be in the Avengers, you know, the Umbrella Academy I love, Altered Carbon, you know, Dune, like anything like that, I would just be like so thrilled. Star Wars, you know, I grew up on all that, so
Right?
yeah. It'd
Talk
be
about
so...
costuming.
What do you say?
I said talk about costuming.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. And like I would love to like be able to like showcase like fighting skill. Like I like just like kick ass, you know?
Right? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? No, that's awesome. I think we're gonna round it out in a little bit, but if there's one thing, and because mindfulness has been so helpful for you, which is amazing, and we talked about my thoughts on mindfulness, I also, you know, feel that way, and how we can be more exploratory about that for ourselves, and self-soothing, and really getting us through what we need to. What would be one piece of advice you would give someone who is kind of really struggling at this moment? Is there anything that you think, I mean, outside of like film and what we're going on about now, is there anything that you would say to someone who is stepping into that or really looking for something in that arena?
Yeah, of like self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, like we judge ourselves so harshly, and I think, you know, we kind of have like that ego mind that likes to tell us like, you know, we're not doing enough, or no, we're not good enough, and you know, all those like inner critic like voices, and that makes the suffering even more. So like it's already like enough, like we are already like dealing with so much suffering, like as an environment, and like we feel that whether we realize it or not, like that affects us, like our environment affects us. And so I would say, just to, if you can, just bring in this quality of loving kindness and care and compassion to whatever you're feeling. You know, sometimes we really tend to push away and resist what feels bad, so like bad emotions, bad thoughts, and so knowing that resistance actually causes more suffering. So just being able to kind of be loving and caring with whatever it is that you're feeling at any given moment, and allowing yourself to do what feels good moment to moment. Like I said earlier, you know, constantly asking yourself, okay, what would feel good right now? Maybe it's, you know, take a salt bath, or maybe it's to, you know, I don't know, get a massage if it's safe, or maybe it's to move my body, or maybe it's to eat some healthy food. So just constantly like caring for yourself as if you are caring for like your own child, or like a best friend or family member, and giving that to yourself, because I think a lot of us tend to give that a lot away to other people and don't give it to ourselves when we need it the most. So doing that, and also just try meditating if you can. And like I know it seems some daunting to some people, especially if they've never done it before, and I think we have this misconception that to meditate properly you have to completely shut out all your thoughts, and if you don't, you're not doing it right. But that's simply not the case. So meditation can look like so many different things. You know, you can just be meditating and mindful while you're walking down the street and just noticing what's happening in the present moment, you know, without, you know, ruminating over past events or being projected into the future. Just focusing your mind what's happening right here, right now, and just practicing that. And then, so there's this really great app actually that I love to recommend always, because this app really helped me a lot in cultivating a meditation practice. It's called the Insight Timer app, and it's
Yes,
free.
I have it.
You have it? Yay!
It's a
Yeah.
little bronze bowl, guys.
Yeah.
Get it from your app store.
And it's amazing. And like, and I don't get anything from like pimping this out. Like I don't have any affiliation with them. I do have a couple. I do have a couple of meditations that are on there, but like we don't get money for it. It's actually free. So there's free resources from all different kinds. Like there's so many different kinds of meditation practices out there. Like I really think it's important to kind of discover what kind of technique works for you. And instead of just trying one and saying like, oh, I can't do this, like this doesn't work. Like there are so many traditions, there's so many techniques from all over. And I think it's really cool with the Insight Timer app, you can discover like all these different kinds of techniques and figure out what really works for you and what makes you feel good. So yeah, just, you know, consistently finding things that work for you, what makes you feel good. I always make a list. So if I'm, you know, feeling like really shitty and I'm like, I can't even I don't even know what day it is, like I don't even know what I'm doing with my life, like I have this list of things that I know make me feel really good. So like painting, and then you don't even have to be good at any of this stuff, like just like to do it, to get out of your own mind and just to like create is so freeing and feel so good. And so just having this list available, like all the things that make you feel happy and joyful, and making sure to do maybe one of those things, even if it's for like 10 minutes a day.
Yeah. And it's so important because, like I said, there's a lot of writers in this room, and some of us are having the struggle where, you know, our workspace has become what our writing space was, or our getaway space to write and be creative has now been taken over by, you know, online work, or we can't disconnect and we can't create the ways we wanted to. And we have multi-genre writers in this room, whether drama, comedy, horror, sci-fi. So even just to get in that mind space of being creative or coming back to, even editing something you've written before, it's like you have this brain fog that needs to lift to have that demarcation from the rest of your life that doesn't know what's happening. So I really wanted to end with that, because I think it's just so important for us to have any outlet that we can, or any advice that we can give for creatives to get back to being creative really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, not even just like having, you know, even if like, say you're writing, or, you know, and you can't think straight or function, it's like maybe just take a step away to try a different type of art form. I found has been very helpful for me in my life, like doing ceramics and doing watercoloring, or like drawing. Even if I suck, it's like you're just doing something creative, so that, like, you know, it totally just like feels so good, and then you might get inspiration from that and that joy to be able to go back to write.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much. So that wraps up our chat with Amy. If anyone has any last minute questions, please feel free to put them in the chat for me. But it's absolutely essential for us to kind of get back on track, and mindfulness definitely helps. So I don't know if that was scary for you, if it was not scary for you, but it's helpful. So thank you to Brandon from HorrOrigins. HorrOrigins Fest is going to be taking place next month. So that's really freaking exciting. We're really, really excited about that. It's a lot of hard work. Brandon is definitely burning the candle at 8 different ends right now. So I'm so glad that he was able to join us tonight. Again, thank you so much to Amy for your time, for your kindness, for your insight, for giving us Rent-A-Pal. Lisa, I think it's amazing. I'm really, really excited about it. So you can catch Rent-A-Pal right now streaming on Amazon, so please do that. Watch it several times. And tell people that you like a film. Really, in this day and age where we have, we're not having theatrical releases, and you know, everything has been brought to streaming. Tell somebody when you really like a film, like start a watch party, get people involved in it, because that's only how this industry is going to grow in the seat that we're sitting right now. So if you have that opportunity, please do that. Let people know that you really like a film. So again, Amy, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. Everybody can go ahead if you want to open your cams at this point. Wave to Amy, say hello, say goodbye. Thank you for coming. I guess they're all shy. That's fine.
That's okay.
That's fine. But thanks again. I want everyone to have a good thank you. There's Brandon. Thank you, Paul. Thanks. See, they all come trickling out.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see your faces. So I think it's so lovely. We can all like come together at the same time from all over.
It's nice to see facial interaction.
Yeah.
So it's just been really great for this. So again, thank you for the opportunity to sit down with us, and we really appreciate it. And I hope you have the most amazing weekend, and keep in touch with us. Let us know what you're up to.
Yay. Thank you guys so much. I'm really just so honored and grateful. So nice to see you guys and meet you, and
no worries.
Everyone else.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining us. Follow HorrOrigins on Twitter. We are the same on Instagram. Like I said, the Fest is coming up next month, so please stay tuned and keep watching out for that. And we will see you next time. Thanks again. Thanks, Amy.
Bye. Take care.
Bye, everyone.